The growing trend of secularization in American culture is threatening the voice and influence of the Catholic Church. How will Catholic leaders face the challenges in what some are calling the, quote, next America? We'll find out tonight, so please stay with us. Thank you very much, and welcome. I'm Father Mitch Pacwa, and this is EWTN Live, where we bring you guests from all over the world. And our guest tonight is a successful businessman who has focused his resources and organizational skills to try to help Catholic leaders defend their faith and religious freedom with an ever-increasing secular society. Please welcome the CEO of the Napa Institute, Mr. Timothy R. Busch. Welcome. Good to have you here.
Good to be here, Father Pacwa. It's been great to walk around in a beautiful, I've never been here before, so it's a pleasure.
And I must say, this was a stunning day. You know, you came a lot of times. June in Alabama is pretty toasty, but it was beautiful today.
It was a gorgeous day, and it's great to walk in the steps of Mother Angelica, and a saint definitely that created this institution.
Yeah, she's absolutely amazing. Well, it's a great thing to have you here because you are doing a number of things out west to bring people in our society, especially various folks in business and other areas, to incorporate their faith in this Napa Institute. Tell us what the Napa Institute is and how it got started.
Well, it's a religious conference for Catholics, and it's preparing Catholics for the next America, the new secularization.
What do you mean by the next America?
Well, it's what we're seeing, especially in this last 4 years, and it's highlighted by the HHS mandate, is the fact that so much of our society and culture wants us to get religion out of the public square.
Yep.
And we're trying to bring religion back into the public square and to retain our religion. But in order to do that, we have to know more about our faith. Yep. And so this is augmenting your parish life. It is encouraging you to not only come to a conference, but also get involved in some other religious organization that can educate you more about your faith. So not only can you defend it, but you can evangelize, bring the new evangelization to reality.
And this is a great task that, in fact, is really devolving upon a lot of lay people, because laity are out all over the culture, right, in places where the clergy sometimes cannot even get to. So what do you plan to do with the Napa Institute specifically?
Well, the Napa Institute is similar to like the Vail Institute or Aspen, where it's a regular institute that happens every year, only it's going to be focused on the Catholic faith. And we're looking at three things: content, liturgy, celebrating the beauty of our liturgy, and social networking to get familiar with other Catholics. But it's not just going to be for lay people. There's priests coming, bishops, not only speaking, but they're coming as attendees. So it's really widespread and open to anybody. You don't have to belong to a particular organization to come. And if you can't come, you're still going to have the opportunity to see the sessions here on EWTN or to buy the DVDs or printed materials from the conference.
See, that's one of the reasons that we want to let people know most folks won't be able to get out to Napa,
right,
which is the Napa Valley area of California, right?
Yeah, Napa Valley is the premier wine growing region. It's kind of the California version of Bordeaux.
And this is going to be an attractant to the Catholics right there.
Right there, yeah. And it's about an hour north of San Francisco, so you can fly into San Francisco, Oakland, or Sacramento. And it's a beautiful resort that called the Meritage Resort and Spa. And we've made it Catholic. We have our Catholic Bibles in our tables, rosaries, crucifixes. We even have Our Lady of Lourdes in the vineyards. And we have a chapel there where we allow priests to stay for free when we're not doing conferences and celebrate Mass in Our Lady of Grapes Chapel there in the campus.
As a matter of fact, you ought to get in contact with some of the Maronites, because there is a feast in May of Our Lady of the Seeds to pray for the harvest, including the grape harvest.
That's a good idea. We need that.
I know it. Our Lady's intercession is helpful.
Yes.
Now, when you have this conference, it's not only laity, it's also clergy and bishops, right?
Yes, and we have religious sisters there. We're actually going to have 18 Carmelite nuns from the Alhambra Foundation.
Oh, that's a great community.
Yeah, great community. They will put a little concert on. They'll be singing during the Masses. Our Masses are all going to be held in a cave, which was dug out of the side of a hill. And it will have incredible ambience of just a beautiful area and a place of prayer. We're going to have 5 Masses every day. We'll have the Extraordinary Rite every day, and then, of course, the Novus Ordo. And so everybody will have a chance, whether morning, midday, or afternoon, to pick a time and the celebrant that they would like to attend Mass with.
Sure. And what are the themes of the talks that you want for this conference? What are the kind of issues that you want to see addressed?
Well, this year we have 3 topics, and it runs from Thursday through Sunday. So Thursday, Friday, and Saturday is each a different topic day. The first day will be on religious freedom, which is appropriate considering the threat to it. And the second day will be on Catholic education, also very important to form our young people in the faith. And the third day is on reason and faith, also led by Father Spitzer, who's the president of our organization and a regular speaker here on EWTN.
Yes, he is.
Former president of Gonzaga. And he really is, along with myself, the mastermind of this conference. And he does our emceeing, gives great summaries of the talks, but he's going to speak a lot about reason and faith and how he's reaching out to the young people, where we're going to lose a lot of our young people, not away from the faith, they're going to become agnostic or atheist.
Yep.
And we have to protect against that. And mostly they're doing it based on an intellectual approach. So that's why we reverse it to reason and faith instead of faith and reason.
Well, this is one of the issues that we are not preparing enough of our Catholic young people in high school to confront the attacks on faith in God. And you see in the modern, the very recent anti-God industry that is taking place, they are not giving good reasons to disbelieve in God. They are focusing on why they don't like him. And Bertrand Russell and some of the old atheists had a little more meat to them. But these new atheists don't have arguments, they just have rant. But in college, that's what the kids are getting in the classrooms as an attack on faith in God regularly. So that sounds like a good preparation.
Yeah, and we do have some young people come. People bring their kids, college kids or young adults. But Father Spitzer, and he'll have his curricula there as well, has prepared curricula for high school, college, and adults to address this whole issue of reason and faith, and most particularly atheism and agnostics.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's going to be a very important component of this, because I don't think the religious freedom issue is separated from the rejection of God issue. Our own Declaration of Independence states that our rights are a direct gift from God to each individual.
Right.
That's our basis.
And no government can take it away.
Or give it.
Yes.
See, that's the other thing. They cannot give us our rights. They can't take them away.
They cannot take it away.
Yep.
So, yeah, the Napa Institute will also have this social element, which is a big part of our faith. Is we're taught in our culture to take our faith and leave it at home, and separation of church and state, And I think we need to return to courage. And once we see how other people who are testifying to their faith, we can gain more courage in ourselves and take that to the marketplace, whether it be in our workplace or in our social clubs or wherever we may go. And if we have the defense, the understanding of our faith, then I think we do a better job.
Yeah, so it's something that I like to call training Catholics to go from a passive knowledge of their faith, by which they recognize Catholicism when they see it, to an active knowledge of faith where they can communicate what they know.
We have the most beautiful faith in the world, and it's been here for 2,000 years, and we need to be proud to be Catholic. Yep. Not trying to hide our Catholicism because we think somebody is going to be offended. People are very understanding of faith, and they would love the Catholic faith if they understood it. And a lot of our people don't understand the beauty of our liturgy, which makes us so unique in the Christian faith. And so we bring that liturgy alive, and we have perpetual adoration during the conference and Eucharistic procession during the conference. People are seeing things they haven't seen maybe for 50 years. Mm-hmm. And we need to bring that back and do things right in the liturgy, which I think we do. The first year went well, and this year we were looking at great attendance.
Good. So this is your second year coming up.
Yeah, the end of July 26th to the 29th, which is a Thursday through a Sunday, and it'll be every July at the last weekend, always in the same place.
All right. And as a matter of fact, we can mention a little bit that the Napa Institute 2012 is, again, July 26th to 29th in Napa, California. If you are interested in finding out more about it, their website is www.napa-institute.org. Napa-institute.org. They also have a phone number, which is 949-474-7368. 949-474-7368, extension 216, so that you can call and find out more, or go on the website and look up more there too. But one of the gifts that the Napa Institute is working with EWTN to present is that these conferences are not only going to be live at the Napa Institute, but it's going to be on videotape by EWTN, and we are going to later on broadcast them so that everybody can get this kind of wisdom. Everybody can enjoy them. So they'll have a whole crew up there to broadcast every session and bring it to you. We'll also have it live on the Al Kresta show, and so we've got a lot of things going on. Which is a radio program. Not everybody gets the radio station, but Al Kresta is a radio program, and I'm pretty sure that you can listen to Al Kresta on the internet. Yep. I'm pretty sure you can. So we've got some great speakers. As I said, we have Cardinal Wuerl, the Archbishop of Washington, D.C., yep. Archbishop Chaput, the Archbishop of Philadelphia, Bishop Merlino from Madison, Wisconsin, Father Spitzer, of course, is one of our regular speakers, Dr. Tim Gray from the Augustine Institute in Denver, Peter Kreeft, who is a fabulous author of over 60 books, Boston College professor, and a very, very sound speaker, Father Fessio, and it goes on. The website has many of the speakers up there, but it's really, we also give an opportunity for the attendees to meet the speakers by the way we set up our meal and reception functions, so that there's not assigned seating. We can let people get together and ask their questions right directly to our prelates and our speakers, so it's not in a public forum. So that seemed to work very, very well last year, so we're going to repeat that this year. That's good. Yeah, it's much more than just lectures and talks. It's this making connections. Right. That's a big part of this. Talk a little bit about why that's so important. Well, to me, we all need support. And we have our friends at home,
But this is an opportunity to make new friends, and nobody's going to come to this conference unless they're interested in learning about their faith, because that's what it's about. So you've got religious sisters, you've got priests, you have bishops, you have the speakers, and of course you have great lay Catholics who are there. And so they just had a great time learning about what each other knew and kind of becoming friends. And we've given plenty of opportunity to go off to wineries or play in a golf tournament or participate in a spiritual retreat. And having the sisters there was magnificent. We also had, last year we had Mother Assumpta and one of her sisters there, and she's a delight. But this year for sure we'll have the Carmelites, and I'm sure there'll be other religious sisters. And it's great to see, for the first time, probably since the 1950s, people are coming back to vocations, and we're really seeing a life and a return to religious life and to the priesthood. And that's great for Catholics to see.
Yeah, you mentioned the Carmelite Sisters of Alhambra, who are a semi-contemplative, semi-active community.
Right. Yes.
But they usually have about 10% of the order in formation, and there are a lot of young women who are in formation and coming up the pipeline to keep on doing their service.
Yeah, they have like 30 or 40 in formation out of a group of 140, and they have they're in Catholic education, they're in assisted living, and then in retreat programs. Those are their three ministries. But when they also know how to sing, so
yes, they do.
You'll hear them in the masses. And we have, like I said, a little concert that they put on. It's absolutely magnificent. It's like listening to angels.
It is. It really is. I gave a retreat, a few retreats to those Carmelites in the past years.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I got to know them kind of well. I'll never forget one retreat where I was hearing confessions before Mass. And one young nun walks into the confessional room. And just as she walks in, there was an earthquake. So I said, all right, what did you do?
No, they're great sisters, and we have several of those orders in our country that are starting to come alive. It's very nice to see.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Nice to see.
But there's that kind of fellowship is one of the Napa Institute's big goals, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's the third leg of this stool. I mean, you've got to have people to support you. And I've also brought in, we'll probably have 25 Catholic organizations represented there that are sponsors. But really what I want those sponsors to do is expose themselves to Catholics who are serious about their faith and may want to expand on their faith by getting involved with one of these organizations. And, I was really formed well in the last 22 years by Legatus, the Catholic CEO organization. What really led to the inspiration of this was going to their conferences and realizing that we needed something like this on the West Coast at a regular conference. So once you leave the conference, you want to make sure that there's something you're doing in addition to your regular parish life that engages your faith in a special way wherever you are in your pilgrimage.
Right. Right. Especially if it's something that you're doing with other folks, so you have that fellowship. I get a lot of mail from people who are all upset about the problems that go on in the church, but half of their upset is that they feel alone, that nobody is there supporting them. And what you're doing is something everybody needs to do. Find other people who are with you.
Like mine.
And work together so that you don't feel the isolation, but you recognize fellowship.
Absolutely. That's really the third leg of the stool. So it's a lot of fun. People from all walks of life came, and last year we had almost 200 in attendance. This year we'll have over 300. We're tracking way ahead of last year. So it was well received, and I think it will continue to grow and be something very special. At the same time, we make small groups so you can spend time with just a smaller group of people, or go to Mass maybe with 10 or 15 people, or be in adoration with a few people. You'll be involved with things that you haven't seen in 50 years. I mean, maybe you haven't been to the Tridentine Mass in 50 years. We're going to have one every day, and on Sunday we have the High Mass, which takes about 2 hours, but it's a very special liturgy.
Sure.
Bishop Corleone from Oakland will be celebrating that Mass. So
Oh, do tell him hello for me.
I will.
I've known him for a number of years, and
He's
a
a
good man.
great priest, great
Yes,
bishop.
he is.
Great bishop.
And, besides a formation, so formation and knowing the faith, being able to explain it so that you're prepared for the secular culture, fellowship, and what's the third?
Liturgy.
Liturgy.
So, yeah,
Liturgy.
yeah. So it's the beauty of our faith,
Yeah.
the music, the beauty of the liturgy, and we have extraordinary vestments, religious elements. The cave is set up beautifully, so you feel like you're in a spiritual place, kind of like a catecumene from the early catacomb from the early days of Christianity, and it just gives you a great sense. And so, and we'll have bishops celebrating most of our masses, and some great priests. Father Spitzer is an outstanding homilist, so everybody will be able to enjoy him if they want to go to one of his masses as well.
We know when you think of it, our blessed Lord himself started off in a cave in Bethlehem.
Yeah.
The stable was a cave, still is. And so being in the cave is just getting back to some of our very early roots.
Well, we actually have a spa that's in the cave behind.
Wait
Can
a
you believe it? Yeah, can you believe it?
A spa in the cave?
In the cave, yes. It's never been done before, but it's we have it right inside the cave. It's 75 feet underground, and you never walk up one step or go down one step. You just walk right into the side of the mountain.
Wow.
So it's very, very unique.
The spa has nothing to do with the liturgical celebration.
No,
I
not
take it.
at all.
All right, just checking. Just checking.
Thank you for clarifying.
Absolutely.
So that's the three: social, liturgy, and of course the content. And then, and of course, part of the social is getting involved with those organizations. That's critical for people to see the great organizations that are out there. Many of us know of them, but a lot of people don't.
Mm-hmm. So that's a good thing. Now, you yourself are in business.
Yes.
And a lot of people in business. You have your own sphere of influence. Through people in various areas of business. And what do you think is the best thing they can do to help against the secularization and promote a Christianization of the culture?
Well, I think they've got to admit to their faith. And I think the concept of you don't ever talk about your faith with your employees is just wrong. I've been bringing my faith into my company, whether it's leading prayers at the get-togethers for the employees, or having a crucifix in my office, or we have a chapel in our office building and have Mass every day with Father Spitzer. But I'm not sure everybody's going to go to that extent, but
sure.
I think if you just tell your employees that you believe in God and this is your faith and respect their faith, I have never once had anybody that didn't come up to me and say, "This is the greatest thing in the world. I'm so happy you did this. I'm so happy you led us in prayer." And nobody comes up and says, "Oh, how dare you, burden me with your faith." I suppose it could happen. It just hasn't happened to me. And I've been doing it for a long time, more than 10 years. And
you've got a pink tie. Does that have anything to do with the pink slips?
No, it doesn't. But I think I've had a lot of people come back to me and say, I return to my faith. And I tell people, if it's like John Paul said, if you're going to be Jewish, be a good Jew. If you're going to be Protestant, be a good Protestant. You're going to be a Catholic, be a good Catholic. Whatever your faith is, be good at what you are. Mm-hmm. And don't tell me, well, I believe in God, but I don't go to church, or I don't. That's like you're a professional athlete and you don't work out. I don't think that's possible. We're all born with original sin. We need a compass. We need a moral compass. And I don't go to church, whatever your church might be, it doesn't work with me, and I don't think it's reality.
I remember meeting a gentleman while I was working out at a gym. And he was saying, yeah, I was raised to go to Sunday school, but, when I was 12, I said, I'm not sure there is a God, so I don't want to go anymore. And I said, well, how old are you now? He said, 58. Have you figured it out yet? No. I said, that is spiritual and intellectual indolence.
Yeah.
You're lazy. Figure it out, because you're closer to death than you are to birth.
Yes.
Get it straight.
And it's easy. I mean, once you get away from your faith, it's more difficult to go back. So I say, don't get away from your faith, and it won't be a problem. But if you are, come back. And if getting back to your question, though, if you're a businessman, celebrate it. There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion.
There's nothing illegal either,
There's nothing illegal, and I've never had any problem with it. I've never had any problem whatsoever. We have to follow our conscience. If we're going to follow our conscience on Sunday and go to church, but then the rest of the time, you've all heard it, not practice our faith, then we're really just a lie.
Yep.
And we have to, this is what HHS is all about. It's not just about the Catholic Church not having to follow that mandate. It's about business people. That's why Legatus, is a Catholic CEO lay group, has filed a lawsuit saying, we as Catholic business people don't want to follow a mandate that is against our faith either.
Good. I see. That's one of the things that many of my viewers don't know about. You know, we know about the universities and hospitals and dioceses that are filing lawsuit against the Health and Human Services mandate that requires Catholic organizations to
Right.
pay for contraception, sterilization, and abortion pills.
Abortion, yeah.
And I said on my program yesterday, if they get us to cave on this, they will, as a government, get us to push euthanasia.
Yes.
Because the health care situation is very expensive. And it's more expensive than they have budgeted.
Right.
It's going to cost more than what Congress budgeted in the law. And one of the big money problems in it is old age.
Right.
That is, and they are going to look, they've already said that the contraception and abortion issue and sterilization is a money-saving device. If kids aren't born, we don't have to pay for it. If that's their thinking about birth, it will be their thinking about the end of life too.
Yes.
And this is what they're up to as the end game.
And I know Friday in 140 cities in this
Yes.
country, there's going to be a protest like I've never even heard of for adults, affluent people, or everybody from every faith are going out and protesting. I don't think the government has any idea what they got involved with. And as a lawyer, they're not on constitutional grounds, strong grounds. We may see this whole bill thrown out before the end of the month by the Supreme Court. But even if we don't, this mandate definitely violates our religious freedom. And I cannot see, we're not in a democracy in our country, we're in a constitutional republic.
Yes,
this
exactly.
is not a situation where 51% of the people can say one thing and everybody else has to do it. They have to follow our Constitution if they're going to adopt something. It doesn't matter if 75% of the people say it. If it isn't in compliance with the Constitution, and this is a very important distinction that our founding fathers made in our country. This is a constitutional republic, not a democracy. So I think people get this idea, you vote for something and all of a sudden you're good to go. And that's not the way it works in our country.
No, it isn't.
So.
And, to remind people, and you're the lawyer, but to remind people that the First Amendment does not have separation of church and state in it. It has that Congress may not establish a religion or interfere in religion.
Right.
That's what the Constitution says. And here, Congress is trying to interfere.
Well, our founding fathers were all Christians, and they wanted faith, but we know where they came from. They came from theocracies, and
Right.
they didn't want a theocracy, which
Right.
we witness in the Middle East and in other countries. And they knew the evils of theocracy, but they never planned on having faith not be part. That was never part of the Establishment Clause. It was just that the government wouldn't set a faith, as they had in prior generations, prior centuries. And so this is the greatest nation in the world. It's inspired by God's providence. We have a constitution that will hold up, and I'm confident that we will prevail in the lawsuit. And I'm very hopeful that we'll prevail in having the entire bill thrown out before the end of the month.
God willing. We have to take a break. We're going to be back in just a couple minutes. And we want to get your questions and comments along with those of our studio audience. So please stay with us. Thank you. Welcome back. This Friday, we have the Religious Freedom Rally, which is Friday, June 8th, 2012, at noon. For more information on how you can participate, please go to the website, which is standupforreligiousfreedom.com. That's standupforreligiousfreedom.com. Notice an important part of this rally is that it is not the anti-contraception thing. That's what the press is trying to make it, as if we are just anti-contraception or something. That's not what it's about, is it? It's about our freedom of religion being affected by an imposition from the federal government. And we want to say no to not only them influencing our religion or any other religion, but we have to stand up now. So that's what that's about. Something else I want to announce is that there's going to be the annual convocation of the Confraternity of Catholic Clergy. That will be July 31st until August 3rd in Mundelein, Illinois. And the speakers will include Bishop Glenn Provost of Lake Charles, Louisiana, and Monsignor James Maroney from the Vox Clara Committee. For more information on that, go to www.catholic-clergy.org. Or if you are interested, you can call them at 717-889-1189. Finally, I also want to invite you to do what this wonderful crowd has done here. We have folks from Kentucky and Cincinnati and Louisiana, from down in New Orleans, and we'd love to have you come and join us. These folks came as groups, but you can also come as individuals and families or parish groups, whichever one. Just contact our pilgrimage department so we have enough room for you. And the number is 205-271-2966. 205-271-2966. Or the website, www.ewtn.com. And they'll give you all kind of information about coming down here, where you can stay, scheduling, and so on. So please come on down. We'd love having you. Are you ready, Tim, to get a few calls and questions?
Father Mitch, I'm ready to go.
Giddy up. Let's start off with a call. We have John on the line. Hello, John.
Hello, Father.
Hey, John. How you doing?
Good today, and you?
Well, thank you. And what's your question today?
Okay, my question today, college and high school were both mentioned. You know, let little children come to me. I'm concerned about the younger kids. If you watch the cartoons they watch, the occult, that stuff is in it. The media and the enemy try to get to the kids young. I went to a Catholic school, grades 2nd through 6. I thank Almighty God and the Blessed Mother for helping. Anyhow, my question is, what can Tim and other people do? What can people do with their families and at home to keep the kids kind of pure, you know, and have a period of innocence, which we all cherished when we were kids?
Yep. Thank you, John.
Well, I think that starts probably with the family trying to control the kind of programs that children are watching, but I agree, it's pretty hard to keep that locked out, because the innuendos and it's kind of what goes on are sometimes beyond even me, because I don't know what they're talking about, and then you drill down. So I was involved in starting a Catholic elementary school, which we have sound principles there and try to teach kids formation, but it's got to be in the home as well. So it's a tough world. I agree.
You know, one of the issues that some families have told me about with the cartoons that the children watch is that there's an attitude of being wise guys and talking back, and the kids start to imitate that to their own parents. Yeah. And so parents I know simply forbid the children to watch certain cartoon shows. That means they have to watch it too and make sure there's no nonsense here. And the parents have to be the gatekeepers on that.
And this doesn't go to the question, but the big issue, I think there's movies out there that we as adults shouldn't be going to. I mean, it's a practical matter. When you rate a movie R, you probably better look at it whether you even should be going to it, because we're not above sin by any means. And I tell people this is something we shouldn't even be going to. So it's not just the kids.
Yep, not only sin, but we can also be very foolish. Doesn't matter how old you get.
Right.
You can become very foolish. And this is something we have to watch for ourselves.
Yeah.
I have a question from our studio audience. Ma'am, where are you from?
New Orleans.
Good to have you here. And what's your question?
My question is interesting. You all are talking about cartoons, and my question is, so often I see humor used to destroy faith, to make fun of faith.
When you mean humor, what do you mean?
Here's an example. One of my students, I teach high school, one of my students came, and in her locker she posted a poster of Sacred Heart of Jesus with a beer in his hand. You know, all the kids thought this was really funny. It's that kind of insidious humor to cut down faith, to cheapen it, to put it aside, to say that it's not important, and certainly nobody believes, ha ha ha, if you do believe. That's kind of what I'm talking about. Yeah. Any ideas how to combat this, or is the Institute dealing with that in some way?
Well, it's not dealing with it directly, but that's, to me, humor is a way of attacking faith in a different manner. And it kind of starts with humor and then maybe goes more aggressive. And, it's one thing, if you're talking about we make fun of ourselves, I mean, that's okay. And I think it's okay to make fun.
It's okay to laugh.
It's okay to laugh. But to attack anybody's faith, whether it's Catholicism or Judaism or Muslim, Islam, you shouldn't be doing that. And I think people should stand up for each other and then make sure it's not cool to do something like that.
One thing that, for instance, the example that was given is to look back on cartoons in the newspapers of Germany in the early 1930s, soon after Hitler became the Reichskanzler. And already there were cartoons attacking Jews. And that these were things that people laughed at, but were no laughing matter.
Yes.
It was an attack on Jewish dignity and respect. And there were all sorts of things that were just jokes. But it became a horrible situation not long after. Maybe to let students see the insidiousness of that kind of attack that was done to the Jews in the early 30s and see, is this being repeated? We have to stop it now, whereas it wasn't stopped then.
Yeah, we have the right to stop, and and to that extent, the Napa Institute is preparing people to recognize that as an evil, and to be able to stand up for their faith. My wife often says, "That's funny to you, but it's not funny to me." So I mean, not about these kinds of attacks, but I think we just have to be sensitive to people's dignity and respect them, and realize that can lead to hurt feelings and really to sin.
Yep. We have another caller on the line. Hello, Walter.
Good evening, Father.
Hi, where are you from?
Pennsylvania.
And what's your question?
Well, I was going to ask this good man, first of all, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. It would be beautiful if I could take what you have and bring it to the northeast corner of Pennsylvania. And I hope people are listening to me. We have churches being closed left and right. We have no priest. The schools are closed. The churches are locked after Mass. That's why we don't have the vocations, because the young people cannot go to these churches that are locked. The doors are locked. I wrote a letter to Carl Anderson, the Supreme Knight of the Knights of Columbus, and I challenged him and the bishops of this great church of ours to open those doors again.
Well, I think that's it's a good point. I know for financial and security reasons, I don't run churches, but I have built chapels in my homes and in my office and in my hotel so that people can go. And I think we need to bring these chapels, if you will, to the people where they are. And it's not to obviate the necessity of the parish church by any means. That's most important. But that's the only way I can contribute. And we're fortunate that I have access to priests. And I think, as I said earlier, the religious vocation and priestly vocation of solid Orthodox orders are back alive. I've been in Rome. The North American College is filled for the first time since the 1950s. Those are diocesan priests, but we also see it in really young vocations. We've got a great generation, the John Paul II generation, whatever you want to call it, are coming upon us, and I do think help's on the way. But prayer and faith in the Holy Spirit is critical, and each of us to do what we can to bring our faith and our chance for adoration, for prayer, for saying the rosary within the home, whatever it might be, is a way to bring back the faith.
I've been to Minneapolis, St. Paul, and one of the priests there pointed out that they have the highest percentage of Eucharistic adoration chapels open.
Wow.
For any archdiocese in the country. They also have not only a full seminary, but there are 90 men living off campus because there's no more room.
Right.
And this man brings up a good point, that we need to have people who are praying and the young people praying to listen if their vocation is to marriage and not shacking up. That's not a vocation. That's a sin. But a vocation to marriage, a vocation to the priesthood, the religious life, they need to have time with Jesus.
Well, at our school, first of all, adoration you can't say enough about. If you want to correct a problem in your society, in your community, it's through adoration. At J. Sarah Catholic High School in San Juan Capistrano, which I co-founded, we have adoration 4 of the 5 days per week. Every single student, even the non-Catholic students, spend 15 minutes before the Blessed Sacrament. We're teaching them about the real presence. They need to know about the real presence, and they need to know they're going to have problems, and they can go there before the Blessed Sacrament.
Right.
And if we have problems, whether it's in Pennsylvania or any place else, bring back adoration, whether it's 1 hour a week or all day long or perpetual adoration, as some parishes and dioceses have done. That will solve your vocation problem. That will solve your church closing problems.
He also wants you to open up one of these conferences on the East Coast. There's some vineyards up in New York, so.
There you go, yeah.
Sweet wine vineyards.
Finger Lake. I think things like this are entrepreneurial. I believe that people will see maybe this program, maybe they'll go to the conference. I know people already that are thinking about something on the East Coast, but it's not that far to fly. I mean, it costs about as much to fly from the East Coast as it does from Southern California to fly up there, believe it or not. Yeah. So I hope you'll come out and take a look at it wherever you're from. Sure. Like I said, over half the people are from outside of California, and I suspect that we have people coming from Alaska, Florida. But somebody will be inspired. The Holy Spirit is alive and well, and
Yep.
if there's a need, there'll be a conference.
Yep. We have another question from our studio audience. Sir, where are you from?
Hutchinson, Minnesota, which is just 50 miles west of Minneapolis.
Okay, great. And what's your question?
Well, I've been retired for 8 years from 3M company, and I now have to decide on what insurance I'm going to be taking out, because they no longer will be insuring me. That 3M has insured me all along, but now that I'm coming to a point where this healthcare mandate is going to affect things, I would have to pick an insurance company. So I'm assuming that means that as an individual, I would be having to decide whether I should follow my faith or pay the bill of an insurance company. And I'm just confused. I think we all need to get together basically and just refuse to obey the mandate if it does come up. But what am I to do?
Yeah, well, I think it's an excellent question, and it's a subset of the employer question, which is we're called on as employers to pay for a health insurance policy that's going to pay for things we don't believe in. Our employees may believe in them, but we don't believe in them. As an individual, it's a little bit of a different situation because you're not actually going to have any of those things you're not going to have contraception or sterile or abortion pills or whatever, but still you're paying for it. You're paying into an insurance policy that is paying for it for somebody else. So it's part of your cost when it's matched up with Medicare. I don't know what your thoughts are on that with the individuals.
I'm insured through my own province, so we self-insure, and this is it's a different situation for us because there's so many of us Jesuits together on this. But and I'm not any kind of an expert on insurance policies, so it's something that I don't know. But what I remember is that there are, at least have been, Catholic insurance companies that have done that kind of insurance work.
Oh, they do, but
Yeah.
they're unless this is turned over, they're going to have to pay just like everybody else for these offensive procedures that we don't agree with as Catholics. So that's the whole problem. And whether
Yep.
it's Notre Dame or whether it's a diocese or whether it is a Catholic insurance company, Catholic Mutual of Omaha or one of those, they're going to have to be involved too. And I believe there's 40 different plaintiffs, maybe over 40. 43 in this, and it's a cross section of everybody, so that they would have a representative for everybody, whether it be a diocesan representative or be a university representative, and they've got representatives from every single, basically every single district in the nation. So
Yeah, and one of the characteristics of this lawsuit, there are other lawsuits besides these 43.
Right.
There are a number of others, but the 43 who just filed lawsuits are self-insured, I believe. Most of those groups are self-insured, so it is contrary to their Catholic
Right.
belief as self-insurers to pay for something that is against. They're not asking another insurance company to do this. That's what the president has
Right.
offered as a compromise, but it's not a compromise. This is a life and death issue with abortion pills.
Yeah.
And so we can't, go along with that.
it's a life and death issue to the survival of this country. I mean, we have to stand up for truth, and we happen to be Catholics standing up for truth, but we're standing up for truth for all Americans. And this is a travesty that we cannot let happen.
Yep. We have another question from our studio audience. Ma'am, where are you from?
Northern Kentucky.
Northern Kentucky. That's pretty. I used to teach in Cincinnati, so I like it up there. And what's your question?
Well, I was wondering if your organization is thinking about doing something to get into the Catholic universities with the young people. That's where they get their heads turned around.
Yeah, that's well, we know the problems of Catholic universities, and there's good ones and there's bad ones, and I think it's not the young people we have the problem with. It's maybe some of the professors and where they're headed. And so the way to get to people, see, the beautiful thing about today is we can get information to the kids, and I think the reliance on the university as the sole source of information is being obviated, because they now have access to internet information, bad internet information, but it's our job to give them good internet information. That's what the Napa Institute and Father Spitzer is doing, building websites. He's reaching out to those young people because he's used to educating them at university level.
Right.
He's taught at these universities. He knows what he's up against. And, the truth is self-evident. And I think that if we can get the information to them another way, they can begin challenging the very professors that may be leading them down the wrong path.
Exactly.
But it's a shame that we have this going on even in our great Catholic universities, but it's going on across the board.
Yep. And I would say, if you think the Catholic universities are a problem, you should check the secular universities. It's more rampant. I mean, we're upset when we see it at a Catholic university because it's contrary to the Catholic mandate. But it's worse at the secular universities by far. And I get people on a regular basis who are challenged by the professors to believe in God. And their faith is attacked. That's not education.
No.
It's not education.
And they look up to their professors as their intellectual
and
mentors.
they're held bound by the professors who grade the papers and the tests.
That's an excellent point. I know I'm on the board of Catholic University, and we're faced with this, and it's the Bishop's University. We have an excellent president, John Garvey, who has taken leadership at the administration level to reach out to kids and to bring the faith to them, because they're in the classroom, but they're also living on the campus more often than they're in the classroom. So there's opportunities through campus ministry, Focus, which is an excellent program. The Knights of Columbus are on campuses to reach out to these kids and get them. I heard the other day from Bishop Olmsted, if you don't get to a student within 72 hours of them coming on their freshman year, they won't be at the Newman Center. I've never heard that before, but it's an interesting concept.
Yes.
Engage these kids at campus ministry level, and then
right away.
Then you keep them straight in the classroom.
Let's go to another call. We have Dan on the line. Hello, Dan.
Hi, Father. It's Dan
Where are you from?
Connecticut.
Connecticut?
Yes, I have a question, and I think you've already answered part of it. But your guest mentioned we have to bring our faith and defend it in the workplace. And my question is, as an older learner, just yesterday at our local university, I'm taking a course, and the church was attacked in the issue, this is a music course, in the issue of the castrati. It's an embarrassment. And what I want to ask is, very often our faith is attacked through these historical scandals that have happened. How do we answer these adequately, intellectually, and trying to defend the faith? And with that, I'll hang up and I'll raise my volume. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that's always a great question, and we've got to remember that Jesus Christ founded the Catholic Church, but the Catholic Church is made up of people who were all born with original sin. And so we are going to have people within the church that are going to fail, and we've witnessed it big time. We all know that statistically these failings are consistent across the board in all faiths and public life, and that the Catholic Church happened to be singled out. But that's okay. We carry that burden. But it doesn't destroy our faith. Our faith is solid because it was founded, divine founder of Jesus Christ. And so we have to realize that even priests, religious, ourselves, that's why we have confession. That's why we have redemption. That's why Jesus died on the cross, was for our sins. And we just have to realize that that type of thing is going to happen. Even if we put all these controls in, we're still going to have problems in our faith down the road.
One of the other things that I would suggest is to take a deeper look into the history of this phenomenon. It was a relatively short period of time in which castrati choirs existed. And then take a look at how it stopped. That will be very interesting, because I don't remember all the details, but I believe that it was ordered stopped by the church, so that there were church people who were doing it, but church officials later on put a stop to it. So take a look at that. I'm afraid we have run out of time.
It's been my pleasure to be here.
Good to have you here. And again, this is the Napa Institute 2012, www.napa-institute.org. And you can find out more about it. I want to give you all a blessing. May Almighty God bless you and keep you and cause His face to shine upon you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. And again, remember, this network is brought to you by you. We are going to be able to bring you the videos of the Napa Institute 2012, along with all the other programs that we do. But it's only possible because this network is brought to you by you, so that we can give you these various opportunities. So please, keep us in between your gas bill, your electric bill, and your cable bill, and we'll pay all our bills. Thank you.